Food awakening. Get it? Researchers have designed edible holograms. This is very exciting. Let's see. Laser etching on food-safe pigments can create 2D images that look 3D that you can eat. And they will digest in your stomach as if they were in 3 dimensions. So what they did was, usually it says holograms are imprinted with lasers and a metal, such as aluminum, which is not edible, according to InsideScience.org. Thank you. Or you could be, they could be etched into transparent surfaces. That is a new study when illuminated. They don't name the study here. But let's take a look at the actual study from ACS Publications, whatever that is. Here's direct printing of nano-structured holograms on consumable substrates. And there you can read all the people involved. Here's some little tiny blown up pictures of the hologram they make. They made one that says edible. They made one that says nano. My question to them is, why so tiny? We know that holograms can be, big enough to hold in your hand, and we know that they can be even bigger. So I don't know why they're making these tiny nano holograms. But what they did was they painted some sugar syrup, 175 milligrams of the surface, increased the diffraction efficiency. So they painted some black dye and some sugar syrup on, I think, a grain of sugar, and etched with a laser. They're produced on sucrose crystals by UV microlithography. Okay, so they etched with a tiny laser on a tiny crystal of sugar. Not sure why they just didn't do a whole candy bar. Seems like once you do the crystal of sugar, you could just sort of make one a candy bar size, I would think. But that's probably coming. I can't wait to see. I mean, we're probably going to see fruit with glowing holograms on them, candy with full pictures, cakes, I'm sure, with like, Harry Potter-like images of of Sirius Black looking back at us. And I'm all for it. If you're wondering about how holograms work, one thing to keep in mind, I never thought of this. When I was a kid, I thought that holograms were sort of a light picture that lifted up off the table. That's how you see it in cartoons like Futurama. But a hologram doesn't lift up above the surface that it's on. You have to look at it. It's like if you're looking at a hologram in a magazine, it doesn't lift up above the magazine. It just looks 3D in the magazine. And that's important to remember when seeing holograms. Even the best, like when you see the hologram of Tupac or Gorillaz is a band that uses holograms live. They have glass panes, and that's what the hologram is on. There is no hologram just in space, so far as we know, because light does not reflect off itself. It doesn't interact with itself. Photons do not touch in the air, bounce off each other in the air. Can't do that. But here's a quick description that I found useful of how a hologram works.
Here is an explanation of what happened inside the emulsion. The reference beam from the left interferes with each reflected light beam from the car, creating an interference pattern. The emulsion simultaneously records all the patterns caused by all the points. Now, when the reference beam alone shines through the film, each pattern reconstructs its own object beam, and thus the whole car appears to be reconstructed.
Now, this is an old video from the 60s or 70s, and this hologram is pretty basic. There's way better ones now, but that's a pretty good description of what happens with lasers. Each point on the holographic sheet records every single reflected angle of the car or whatever you're looking at, and here's what it looks like on a micro scale. If you, let's see, where was that? Oh man, I can't find that. There was a really good picture in this video of what hologram looks like, zoomed in. Oh, there it is. On a micro
Here is
scale,
a microscope view of the processed film.
It's got all of these wave reflection patterns burned into it at different angles.
The silver emulsion is exposed.
So anyway, that's still kind of how holograms work, even though this was from many decades ago. Very cool. And as you can see here, this picture of the edible holograms looks a lot like that picture from the video of the zoomed in picture of the hologram. So anyway, looking forward to holographic foods.